Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
How you doing? Nice to see you all.
And you too. Congratulations, Rich.
Oh, thanks very much.
Oh, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
What a
Pretty
bonny,
pretty sleep deprived, but otherwise good.
what a bonny wee thing you've got.
Oh, thanks very much.
Oh my word. Really? Yeah.
For a bonny wee thing, she can make quite a lot of noise.
She looks like you. No, no, the eyes.
I,
Absolutely, the photo
Yeah,
you sent was
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I did have some suspicions, but I'm okay.
Yeah, about the genetic makeup
Is
of the
it is
child.
this live on
This is
Facebook?
live. Yeah. I told you guys, 7 p.m. on the dot. So, yeah, all right. Let me do my intro spiel, and I hope none of that was private information.
Oh no.
I mean, it certainly isn't anymore, Rich. So, yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Quarantine Zone once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a really fun one because I'm joined by three legends, Mr. Richard H. Harold, Mr. Richard K. Cass, and Evelyn G. Glennie. Hello.
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 Yeah. So, full disclosure, folks, this is not our first online Zoom hang. Rich Cass has been brewing some HLK IPA. I call it HLK IPA, but actually no one had anything to do with it except for Rich Cass. But anyway, and he very generously posted us some bottles, me, Evelyn, and Rich, and so we sort of had a Zoom tasting, which was really fun. But you know, there's nothing like a live stream to just kind of pressurize a conversation a little bit. So here we are. And yeah, so how's it going, guys? Rich, are you still brewing?
I am still brewing, although it's slowed down a little bit as of the last few days. But I've got a grapefruit pineapple IPA on the go, and I'm gonna dry hop it with four different kinds of hops. So I'm gonna try four different variations. So when that's done, I'll send one to each of you guys, a little selection box, just in time for Christmas.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Oh.
Amazing.
when they put fruit in beer, I mean, is it fruit in beer and or is it special hops that tastes like the fruit? Or I've never really understood that.
So it really depends. You can add the fruit at a lot of different stages, and
Mhm.
a lot of hops do have some fruit aromas, especially if they're added for dry hopping, which is once the beer's actually been brewed, but before it's bottled. And a lot of the modern hops can be quite citrusy. So if you get like a grapefruit IPA, it's likely to have some grapefruit extract or some grapefruit juice or something, which would be added once the beer's brewed. And then they would probably use hops to reinforce that or complement it and add some like acidity as well. Because you probably
Mm-hmm.
notice that a lot of like the modern beers are quite sweet, but
Yeah,
also quite tangy. So they
yeah,
tend to try and balance that. If you put beer in when you actually brew it, it's a bit like the difference between having grape juice and having wine. The flavor of the fruit changes a lot during the fermentation. So it
mm,
will potentially increase the alcohol amount, but it might not taste like grapefruit, for example. It might taste
yeah,
like the wine equivalent of grapefruit.
yeah. Amazing. Yeah, so that's what Rich Cass has been up to. Evelyn, how are things with you? What's going on?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks. Probably not quite as exciting as or as tasty as Rich's
Yeah,
endeavour,
yeah.
but no. Yes, it's been busy because I became president of Help Musicians, and of course, Help Musicians has been absolutely inundated with ingenious ways to try to support so many musicians up and down the country. So that's taken, a lot of time and energy, which obviously I've been very happy to participate in because we've all been affected one way or another, big or little, with this pandemic. But creatively, I started cataloging each instrument that I have. And what that made me do was to learn or perhaps relearn certain instruments per month since lockdown. So, for example, March to April was the Irish bodhrán, April to May was the Indian kanjira, May to June were the bones and the spoons, and so on and so forth. And it's just amazing to see how all of the techniques of those instruments have really developed. So the bodhrán, for example, which I used to play 30 odd years ago, is now completely developed in the way that it's negotiated and the types of drums made, and also the musical settings that it's now played in. You know, you see some fabulous Middle Eastern players play bodhrán, for example, or you find it in Indian music and all sorts of things. So I think it's just been a really nice way to connect with the instruments and other types of music that perhaps I wouldn't have necessarily have perhaps had the time even to think about. So from that point of view, it's been really a lot of fun, and it just keeps the muscle groups, you know, in your body active. Otherwise, the whole idea of learning repertoire when there's no concerts in the diary is you know, just shifts your kind of concentration really. So that's
Amazing.
what I've been up to. Yep.
Yeah, super cool, and inspiring that you're, you know, always learning.
Well, I think, I mean, that's what I get inspired about playing with you all, you know, as a trio. It's you know, discovering things that you perhaps hadn't realized or hadn't ventured into, or, you know, you're just sort of pushing your own boundaries as regards to yeah, just discovering things. I mean, that's a never-ending thing, and I hope that will last, you know, even if I reach my 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing. Hey, Mr. Rich Harold, what's happening with you, man? And if you want, you can introduce our first video, man, which is Smalls from Stockholm.
All right, cool.
Or you can pass it back to me or Cass or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with everything Evelyn just said there, actually. It's quite nice to kind of take this opportunity to sort of like reset a little bit musically. I've actually just started a PhD, composition PhD, which has kind of been a nice time to like do some reading, you know, like reading journals and articles, that kind of thing, listening to lots of music that, you know, maybe normally wouldn't have the time to investigate. And yeah, just been writing a few pieces for different lineups that, you know, basically the last 5 years I've basically only written for us guys. So it's been nice to kind of.
Well, why would you write for anyone else? What are you...
So yeah, to like think about some different instrumentations and yeah, hopefully to work with some other players and stuff. So it's been quite fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I guess should I introduce Smalls? So this is a piece based on Blue and Green, and this is a performance from Fasching in Stockholm. Take it away, Anne.
Yeah. Don't forget to turn your microphones off,
Oh, yeah.
Rich and Evelyn, and your screens as well, in case you want to, I don't know, not be seen. Cool. Here we go. Stockholm. I think Stockholm, which do you think was the best reception of the tour? I think it was St Petersburg or Stockholm.
Very different vibes in those two places. I really like the kind of intimate vibe in Stockholm. And the sound felt really good in the room, and the audience were right there, you know, which was really nice.
Yeah.
St Petersburg was kind of the opposite kind of vibe, wasn't it? But
yeah.
equally epic.
Yeah.
It's quite
On you go, Rich.
No, after you.
No, please go on you go.
It was okay. It was two quite different build-ups to the concerts there. We arrived the night before. Did we arrive the night before for Stockholm? I don't know if I'm imagining that now.
We
did.
2 nights.
So we arrived the night before, and then we got into the club pretty early, and we had a lot of really nice food, and they were just so nice there. They really looked after us, didn't they? Whereas, and it was a lovely atmosphere. And St Petersburg was an amazing concert, but it was like the biggest roast of a day before the gig started that I've ever encountered. That massive drive from Tallinn to St Petersburg with the Russian border with all the security checks getting dragged everything out, and then driving through St Petersburg, and then we got to the building and it's really old and it didn't have lifts, and we were lugging all the instruments up and down stairs, and then we had like an hour and a half to set up, and then the tech didn't work and we weren't sure if the gig was going to happen. They held the doors, it all came off at the last minute, and then the gig was pretty amazing, and then just had this massive adrenaline dump afterwards, and we did that sort of signing session, and we're chatting to people, and the next thing you know, we're back in the hotel sort of hyperventilating. So they were both amazing gigs, but they couldn't have been any different in terms of the build up to them. I think when I went on stage,
remember we had to wait for the orchestra to finish their rehearsal in St Petersburg as well, and so we practically had to move the chairs and the music stands off of a whole orchestra before we could get on.
Yeah,
we were like setting up the instruments in the cafe bit to the side, side of the stage.
And one of my favorite things was the very grumpy old Russian lady who was like the guardian of the dressing rooms. Evelyn, you told me like you took off your coat and like lightly put it on a sofa or something, and she gave you a look like, why are you touching the sofa, kind of thing. You're like, this is my dressing room. But,
yes, I sat on the floor on the dressing room after that. Just in case.
So once again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Just want to take a minute to acknowledge some of the people who've tuned in. So we've got Zeba Jones, Liz Thorpe, Kareem Nasser, Kai and Sandy, Russ, Nettie, and loads of people off Facebook. Hey, John Daly's there. Nice one, John. Jerry Owens. What's up, Jerry? It's been a while. Ferdinand and loads of other people. So yeah, thanks very much. We're going to keep it quite loose. We've got 2 more videos, but if people do have any questions for these amazing musicians, Rich and Evelyn, or indeed me, please just ask. The videos are from our February tour, and I actually took the liberty of compiling some of my favorite images from the tour. And not that many of them, don't worry, but perhaps my bandmates can explain what's going on. Rich Cass, why don't you tell me what's going on here? Let me just screen share. Oh God, technology. One moment, please. What's going on here, Rich Cass?
That was that was Fashing, and that was the sound engineer who we decided looked just like Taylor Hawking from the Foo Fighters, and so. Yeah, and so somebody thought it was a good idea to get a photo taken with him. I think it was you, Anne.
Yeah, it is indeed. That was indeed me. What about this one? So Evelyn, is it true that on your rider, you know, if you want Dame Evelyn to come and perform, you need a massive yellow bird wherever you go? Is that actually true?
wish it was full of M&Ms or something. But no, that was in the reception of the hotel in St Petersburg, if I remember.
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
after our final concert there, and we enjoyed some beer afterwards, I will admit. And I think we were just so tired and so silly in a nice way. And this bird just happened to be right by the front door, and so yeah, we just seemed to gravitate towards it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very strange. I'm not sure exactly what it was. What about, oops, there's one or two more here. Oh my gosh, sorry, excuse my crap technology. All right, hang on. This is a fail, isn't it? I'd get sacked. I could never produce the TV show. What about this one, Cass? This is a classic. This is definitely one of the highlights. Here it is.
That was the security lady at St Petersburg. Got spotted on the flight home, and she asked for a signature of the brochure, and that was the first time and probably last time that will ever happen to me.
I'd just like to take a moment to appreciate her eyebrows. They are quite unbelievable eyebrows. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's the photo section. Oh, so where we played in Stockholm, there were a load of Meshuggah fans there. And I just thought that maybe we need to go for a slightly more punchy energy for our next promotional photo. Maybe something a bit more like this. So anyway, keep it in mind. That's Meshuggah. All right. No, silliness aside, let's go to the next video, which is the jig from Tallinn. So when we were combining all of our favorite bits to go in the tour video, we somehow omitted the jig, which has a massive guitar solo. So obviously on my stream, you're going to play the guitar solo. So no, but it's a fun kind of rock out tune that we tend to play towards the end of concerts. Anyone want to say anything about it, or to anyone?
Actually, I reckon this tune always comes across best in those slightly bigger spaces, particularly that section at the end where Ant usually is digging in pretty hard, and there's a huge amount of space in the rest of the band. And yes, I really love being able to sort of hear the space of the room. So I think this was actually one of those concerts, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? So the video that people are about to see is actually from a guy in the audience's camera phone who so I actually just got chatting to the guy on the plane on the way there. So he sent us the footage, but because it was broadcast live on radio, which is pretty intense, you know, playing music this complex live on radio, we sort of got the radio audio and I synced it. So you can't quite hear, you don't have that massive concert hall reverb that you would have if I hadn't swapped out the audio. You can still get a bit of an impression of the room. And actually, if anyone was here before 7, the image was this beautiful concert hall that we played in Estonia, in Tallinn. So yeah, should we do it? Let's go. This is the jig.
discovering what a gig feels like.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I didn't actually watch that whole video through. I didn't realize it was like literally just me the entire time. I just like the tune, but
It's the
yeah.
first time, though. It's the first time that I've seen that. I've seen you, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
in front of the, you know,
Yeah.
in as a performer when we're all, yes, exactly, when we're all performing together, and it's really, really nice to see the intensity and the connection that you have with the audience. You know, you're almost teasing them, and you're just, you know, having them guess what's going to come out next from your explosive guitar.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing, Ant. It's amazing.
Thanks very much, Evelyn. Yeah, yeah. That section at the end there, I always just kind of have to go for it, really. You know,
Yeah.
really go for it. And sometimes, I don't know. You know, yeah, you go for it. It's like maybe sometimes it doesn't work quite as well. Sometimes you get it like completely right, and sometimes it's close to the edge. That version there was was close, almost over the edge at times, I think. But yeah,
Well,
no, it's really.
it's amazing how, you know, the with Rich on drums, Rich on piano, and myself on percussion, where we're playing something really rigid, you know, and time wise, and then you're, you know, just this explosive kind of force coming, you know, from an outer planet, and it's quite interesting, that sort of juxtaposition of something that's so unbelievably strict and rhythmic and with the masses of space, you know, and we've got to really count that. And meanwhile, you're having the time of your life.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever, you guys. I'll let you guys take care of it. It's like
Full of stress.
Yeah, you guys are kind of driving the truck, and I'm like the dog, just with the head out of the window, enjoying the wind in my face, you know. Hey, we have got a question from Mr. John Daly. Thank you very much for the questions, John. So he says, and would love to hear about the compositions and where the ideas came from. Why no bass player? And was the music specifically written for this group? So, Mr. Harold, do you want to tell us a bit about those things?
Yeah, so I guess like the idea for each tune is different, actually. A lot of them come from just kind of analysing an existing standard and seeing what's in there in terms of like some of the rhythmic stuff and some of the pitch material, and then just playing around with those different elements. So you know, if the original tune, for example, is really majory in terms of the intervals and stuff like that, then you end up with things that sound a little bit like that, and vice versa. So it's really kind of like trying to dig down into what's in the original, and then just be as creative with it as possible. No bass player. Well, actually, that was just kind of a bit of an accident that turned into a happy situation. I mean, we just started playing in this configuration, and because we weren't working with a bass player, started to find solutions for covering the low end, and actually, it then became a bit of a blessing in disguise, I guess, because it allows for experimenting with like range and sometimes just having all the high end stuff, or just having everyone right down in the low end, and for Ant and I to sort of swap roles in terms of register. There was another question, wasn't there?
Was the music written specifically for this group?
Yeah, absolutely. For trio pieces originally, and then the pieces that we play with Evelyn are kind of just orchestrated out. So some of the parts are slightly changed, some small revisions here and there, and occasionally like an additional part, but really just kind of a reorchestration of the original trio piece. Yeah, I hope that kind of answers the questions.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, it's quite fun. I think when we were initially having conversations about like starting to play together, I just remember thinking, oh, it would be really cool to get an 8-string. And I mean, that kind of is a sort of symbolic of basically everything in this band being very bespoke on an instrumental level. Like if you look behind Richard Cass, You can see this like tuned crotales, are they called?
Mm-hmm.
Not crotals. Crotales. So yeah, these amazing bells, and Rich has got all kinds of weird stuff added to his drum kit. And then, I mean, it would be simpler for us to tell you the percussion instruments that Evelyn doesn't play, rather than start going through the ones that she does. But yeah, it's quite cool actually, sort of exploring different musical terrain for each kind of piece, and yeah.
But it's completely evolved as we've been working together. You know, every rehearsal, some other suggestion will come up, some reorchestration. Every concert we've done with Evelyn, I think she's shown up with a completely different set of percussion instruments, and so the sound world for each piece is different every time we play. So yeah, I think that's one of the exciting things about it. It's constantly sort of evolving musically.
Tell me, Evelyn.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, what I find interesting about it, well, many things obviously, but is although the pieces have this structure, it's just incredible how they are different, you know, each time, whether it's the improvisations that you all do, or whether it's a combination of drums that Rich you have, or the addition of the crotales. I mean, that came sort of several months or maybe a year or so into you know, our first time together and so on, and that just, you know, all created, you know, an interesting palette, and I think that it's the repertoire that can, you know, be experimented with, even although there's these structures, and that's what I find really interesting, because there's so many challenges with the music, you know, really are a lot of challenges, but yes, it's the perseverance of kind of getting through almost the pain threshold of thinking, oh my gosh, you know, how do I work this out, or you know, when you're coming to the music afresh. I remember the first time, and I just thought, you know, I'm not sure if I can really do this, but actually it's just the perseverance, and then once you do have all the other elements, bit by bit, things begin to, you just think, okay, I see where that comes from, and oh, I see. But it takes an awful lot of performances to you know, for it to begin to get into your bones a bit. But
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and Evan, you know, you sound amazing. It's really amazing to play with you. I did feel a little bit. I felt very guilty for on the first video that we played today. I chopped off the intro because it's about sort of 20 minutes long when we normally do it, and there's a really nice ambient section, which is I can't remember what meter it's in, quite a large one, but that's a really nice bit that we've kind of worked on together, and sort of built a bit of common language basically, so we can just sort of like get lost to a certain extent, and enjoy the ambience at the beginning of the piece. Yeah. Hey, Rich Cass, that's a cool T-shirt you've got there, mate.
Thanks very much, Ant. It looks a bit like yours, but red.
Why don't you tell us where people can get Enjoy Clave merch, should they be interested?
Oh yeah, so if you really like the T-shirt, or I don't know, if you've bought all of Ant's albums already, and you really want to keep supporting the music that he's making and the people he's making it with, then if you head to richcast.com/store, you can find a few things there. That's one of my many lockdown hobbies, as I started designing a few different bits and pieces to sell. So yeah, if you want to support the arts, if you want to support something which is not a physical product, then buy a physical product.
Yeah. So we've got one more video. There is lots of footage from Lithuania and from a couple of other concerts in Estonia, and that footage will be in the tour documentary when we finish it off, whenever we do that. but we're going to go back to Stockholm just because it was such a nice looking club, and we're going to have our kind of final video. But just to ask, what are you guys watching on Netflix?
The Office,
I imagine.
obviously.
Say it again.
Seasons 1 and 2 of The English Office. It's the best thing on TV.
How many times have you seen it though now, Harold?
Into the hundreds, definitely. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
just amazing, and I'm constantly disappointed by new TV programs. So
yeah,
just stick to what's quality.
Fair enough. Yeah, The Office is great. Just for anyone watching, quite frequently, Rich will start going through entire scenes in The Office, doing all the quotes, and I just like I like it, but I haven't got the entire both seasons memorized. So sometimes I don't know what's going on when they do that, but they just carry on going for ages. It's quite funny. Actually.
Well, you're not looking at the whole pie, Jenny.
I assume that's a quote right there, is it?
I think so, yeah. It's been a while.
What about The American Office? Any good?
Ooh. I've never watched it, to be fair.
Just not got the same subtlety to me.
It's a little bit like when Kenny G tried to re-record Louis Armstrong tune with Louis on it. It's like don't go there again.
Don't do that, Kenny. Evelyn, how are you kind of passing all this time? I guess you have the instrumental work and the help musicians, but when I sort of when I think about you, I imagine that you're kind of just like reading or writing poetry, like on a bench with a beautiful view over a meadow. You know, how accurate is that?
No, not at all with the poetry, at least anyway. And I don't have Netflix, so I'm in the dark ages here. Oh dear. To be really honest, we've been so involved with a lot of educational things, with charitable things, with all sorts of things. They're absolutely, desperate for things, from anybody and everybody to try and support them in one way or another. So really, since lockdown, we've been it's almost been like a full-time job I have to say. And there's no way that could be sustainable if we were in our normal, situation of concerts and so on. So to be honest, I think a lot of things I've been able to do that perhaps I may have declined in the past because of just not being in one place long enough. So that's sort of been interesting. But I've really enjoyed being in one place. And, I haven't missed an aeroplane one tiny little bit, I have to say. I've been very happy just having this time to, just to sort of be really and not so frantic. But yeah, I think it's also been interesting to see how maybe, things will move forward from all of this. I think there's definitely a shift with everything. I don't think we're going to get through this, and I mean, yes, we'll get through this. We'll find a vaccine or we'll find a way to move forward. But I don't think things will go back to how they were. I think that now is in the past, and I think there's been a shift, and people are seeing that and now beginning to feel it. And it may take a few years yet before we actually get into the rhythm of that, whatever the shift might be. But I think we're all just finding our way a little bit with stuff, and so that's interesting in itself.
Yeah, it's been really crazy year. Well, we hope everyone's sort of staying safe and cheerful enough out there. Mr. Richard Cass, anything to add for the good people of Facebook and further afield?
What about Netflix or
about whatever? I guess just before we and you too, Mr. Rich Harold, just before we.
I couldn't possibly add anything.
What does that say? Richard Cass, richcass.com/store.
No, I have no idea where that came from. Netflix wise, I've if anyone was watched this all the way through, they might have seen that like I've just had a baby girl, and so I've not had a huge amount of time to watch Netflix. But I've been really getting into brushes since this is a really nice segue. This is a really nice segue. I've been really getting into brushes, and I've got this brush practice pad. Oh, it's here actually. And so every time she's asleep, I just start shedding brushes while she's sleeping. And I've just been going through like loads of old videos on YouTube of stuff from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and just like making a little black book of brush patterns. I've been transcribing loads of stuff. So yeah, even like checking out that old Steve Gadd video when he's playing on the reel-to-reel tape box. I don't know if you've seen that. He's singing Bye Bye Blackbird. And yeah, loads. So yeah, basically I've just been watching loads of footage of people playing brushes and then trying to take all these 4/4 patterns and modulate them into unusual subdivisions so that I can actually use them on like an actual working gig with you guys, because learning 4/4 brush grooves doesn't pay the bills in this group.
Yeah. It was funny. It's funny when I mean, not to be crude, but I've done lots of gigs and in my life, and some of them haven't paid very well, and some of them have paid very well, and some of the ones that have paid very well have been with this group. And there was that video that went round when that guy was saying, "You can't get paid to play in 13/8." And I like looked at a chart and it was like a bar of 13, a bar of 11, a bar of 13, a bar of 4. And I was like, you can actually. But I think that I do actually agree with the point that the chap was making, that probably if making money is your main aim, I wouldn't start off with odd meters. He agree on that, I think.
But he also says you can't make, no one wants to dance to 13/8, and I've never gotten around to it. But am I allowed to hijack this for a second, Dan?
Yeah, please do it, man. I'm not sure if you can screen share, depending on how many.
Oh, you don't need to.
Yeah.
So if I put this metronome into 13.
Oh yeah, the Fibonacci thing. Yeah.
If you divide the metronome into 5, 5, 3, so it's playing 13/8. Hold on.
You get.
That's not quite right. That's right.
The suspense.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Let's hear it. Just hear the mention.
Back it. You can just about shoehorn a 4 into that and make people dance to it.
Yeah. So, Rich, that wasn't very clear from the audio. So, for any music geeks there, if you have 5 beats and 5 beats and 3 beats, it basically sounds almost exactly the same as 3-3-2, which is that kind of that Coldplay rhythm. So like everything, and also you can find some of the strangest rhythm in the folk music of the world, all that Cameroon music in 9 and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it's a big discussion, but yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Rich Harold. Thank you so much, Ms. Glennie, for coming and hanging out. And thank you so much, Rich Cass, the new father. Everyone give Mr. Cass a round of applause at home. And so it's been really fun. And if no one has anything further to add, we'll close out the stream with concertinas for Bill. And that will be it. So let's do it. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. It's been the Quarantine Zone once again. Thanks, Rich, Evelyn. Really appreciate you guys giving up your Thursday evenings.
Nice to see you all, guys.
Yeah, great to see you guys. See you again very soon, I hope. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, we like to play a little blues for you. Kind of.